What's going on?
We're live.
Welcome back to the WODprep podcast. I'm here with Coach Nelson, Coach Orlando on the computer, and when something important needs to be said, he will chime in. It is Sunday after the Masters CrossFit Games. I'll pull this away from my mouth a little bit. And I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
It's been a long fucking weekend. But it was fun, right? We had a lot of good time, a lot of good experiences, and I think there's a lot of promise for what's to come regarding the Masters games. So, sorry about that. All right. So Nelson,
Yeah.
how you feeling?
Good. And I feel like the day really kind of hit its stride the competition really hit its stride on like day 2. I feel like the individuals, it definitely had a kind of like Friday night light feel, with the wall ball into the bike workout. So I think that was for me like a highlight of the weekend, kind of just seeing that like back and forth, kind of like a Friday night at a tennis stadium kind of thing, or Friday night at a Coliseum. Yeah, I mean, I think that, we kind of talked about this a little bit. Organization of the events made it to where the workout today, was, I think, on paper, a well-written workout. It just, it kind of seemed a little bit short, all in all.
A little lackluster.
With like a build-up to it. Like I said, I think the workout on paper is really solid. Would have been cool. CJ had mentioned a cool idea of if the front squat would have been the buy-in, so 5 minutes to find a front squat, rest 30 seconds or something immediately into the workout. I think that could have been a cool kind of AB into the final event. Not to get too, I don't want to say the word cliche, but with it seems like a lot of CrossFit Games final events have been that kind of A and B style, like what we saw at the games this past year. Reminiscent of the pegboard event. I think that was an AB. So yeah, I mean, those are always kind of fun because it's you can gamble, but you have, unless you're going first, it makes it a little bit tougher.
Right.
But yeah. And I think with I spent a lot of time in the community event, having coached 2 teams there. And I think that was super solid. I think that was really good that it was included. I think it'll be interesting to see how that compares to Legends in December, which is another whole kind of event in and of itself. Maybe we can get some insight from that, from Bob and Joe here shortly. But
you let the surprise out.
I guess I did.
No, I'm just kidding. It's in the title. It's in the title. I think.
Is it? Okay, cool. Well, I mean, either way, yeah. So I think that was really solid. It was also cool. My team kind of appealed their final event and ended up getting 2 back-to-back event wins and getting 3rd place, so that was cool.
Let's go. Did you get paid? Did they get paid?
They got some really cool Yeti cooler gear.
Sick.
I don't think they'll get paid.
Yeti? Really?
Yeah, a huge giant, almost gym bag style type of Yeti.
That's
cooler.
cool.
Yeah.
They each got one, a backpack cooler?
Yeah.
Dude, those things are fucking expensive. They're 3. My wife wants one. And I keep telling her, no, I'm not buying a $300 backpack cooler that holds 7 cans.
Right.
They don't hold that much, but they look really cool.
Yeah. So I would assume, I think 3rd place got just the cooler. If I'm, and correct me, they can correct me if I'm wrong. And I would assume 2nd and 1st probably got stuff in the cooler as well.
Sweet.
But yeah, pretty solid.
Cool.
How about you? How are you feeling about all of it?
I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
Mainly because of our nightly, concepts of life talk. But
Sure.
no, the weeks are really long, right? And I was talking to a mentor of mine, and I get super emotionally attached to my athletes' placings and how they feel. And so there were a lot of tears, good and bad, with Jen and Rose. And so I don't know, it's like a double-edged sword. It's a good thing that I'm as committed and I care that much, but at the same time, it's hard to be that connected to your athletes because this is a really emotional thing that they do because they care so much about it, right? There's always tears of joy or sorrow.
Yeah.
And so it's always emotionally and physically and mentally draining come through the week. So,
I feel like the idea of the coach being more stressed and more emotional like during competition compared to the athlete like rings pretty true. I feel like that's something that's
yeah,
said
100%.
sometimes, but yeah, it is definitely like can be backed up and can be validated.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm a little tired. I got a lot of programming to do, but we'll try to just get caught up. But for the most part, it was a really successful weekend.
Yeah.
Athletes did good. We were able to do the podcast, which is cool. Hopefully we continue to grow and we can, move on. We got a lot to work on, as far as each athlete and stuff and me as a coach. And so, well, it's always a good time. Right. And I think this weekend was super promising for the future of the Masters landscape. Lando, how about you? You got to talk.
Yeah, so this one felt good overall, right? Like I coached Legends, multiple help with that at Legends, so I knew what it would be like at a higher level, but this one meant a lot more, right? To a lot of people. So it was really cool just coaching that one, watching one of your athletes reach their goals, that they made it to the games and then has to work through COVID and all these injuries and then make it back to the games, right? And keeping that in perspective, like no matter what happens, you've made your goal, but then also still wanting the podium and the emotions of going through not being able to, right? And then also like learning how to compete again. I think that's not something we think about as much, but like all the little things like moving your plates, not stepping on the line, what the standard is here compared to what you're
or just
used
racing,
to,
like
or
just the actual
racing.
concept of competing, right? Not the nuance of it, but just like, I need you to fucking beat this person if you want to get this placing, right?
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. And I don't think my athlete failed at any of those things, but it was just an eye opener on, you know what I mean, not making rookie mistakes, what we would call it, right? Something that you normally wouldn't do, but in the heat of competition, you were just fumbling around and doing things. We do it in the open, we do it quarterfinals when we try to compete. We just seems like we lose all concept of things we do every day.
Yep.
And then that's kind of how we get it to flow. So overall, I enjoyed it. I really like coaching this style of stuff. So just keep it going and figure out how we're going to move forward and bring some more athletes here.
That's right. Yeah, it was good. I agree on all things. It's competing is such an interesting skill that it's hard to teach, even if you compete a lot. Like there's just some athletes that are good at competing, like a Jason Hopper, right? That like maybe don't train as well, right? And Rose is an amazing example of that. I always know Rose will come to compete. She is a game time. Like you ever heard of like a 5 o'clock hitter, right? And so it's like the guy that smashes during practice and during batting practice, right? Hits home runs, blah blah blah. When the game comes, he just shits the bed. Rose is the exact opposite. If we could, with how often and how consistent we're able to train, what she's able to do on the like if you took what our training looks like relative to the top 10 girls in the 55 to 59, it's markedly less, right? Just from life and, like just all of our variables within training, but she's able to turn it on and it's just the most amazing thing. And that girl can fucking race, man. And it's so cool to watch and she can compete and she loves it. And so on the flip side, Jen does love to compete, but racing is a very big challenge for her because a lot of her limitations are like intensity limited, right? So like muscular endurance, right? Like hitting failure points and redlining, etc. So she's newer to it, right? At the highest intensity. And so it's hard for us to do that because we're limited internally, like what our body is capable of, a little bit more so. So there's a lot more strategy that goes into it. I can't just be like, beat the girl next to you, right? And so it's just interesting to see like how each athlete needs to be motivated and discussed with and warmed up and talked to and strategized with, etc. Right? Before competition, after competition. And it's just an interesting thing to to go through, and I really, really enjoy it. I love the coaching. I love all of that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a fluid state, right? You know, I mean, this is Jen's first CrossFit Games.
Correct.
And this is Rose's fourth, third.
Third.
So yeah, so I mean, obviously, like, there's a lot of mental reps to be gained there, right?
Sure.
In those couple of years, you know, I think that's something that that can definitely be taught. A lot of it, I do think, can be like innate in an athlete, like how competitive they are. I mean, a lot of it too is, you know, like you can make that gamble and it can pay off very positively. It can also pay off very negatively, right?
Mhm.
If you go outside of your scope and try and race it. I mean, obviously there are situations where like you have to do that. I'm trying to think who was the athlete at the games that I think just absolutely had to send it in order to do something and then just completely crash and burned.
Brent in the last
Well,
workout.
Yeah, but there was another one who I'm thinking, yeah. You see it at any competition, right? Like
Sure.
if you're in that kind of fourth, fifth spot and you're like gunning for a podium position.
Yeah. You take the
and,
risk.
Yeah, you have to take a risk, and like sometimes it pays up really great and you crush the workout and beat everybody, kind of like an Austin Hatfield type of thing. Or like sometimes it, you know, you see like what happens with Brent, you know. I
Or
think
like an
that-
Austin Hatfield type of thing. You're missing the clean.
Yeah, for sure, right. So I mean, I think it's something to where like, you know, that comes within knowing your own limits and your coach knowing your own limits, but definitely those mental reps too of practicing, you know, that come with competing. Yeah.
So before we move on, Orlando, were you going to say something? Oh, okay. Before we move on, I just want to thank our sponsors, Third Z and Coda Iron Games. If you guys are still looking for some competition, October 12th and 13th in Denver, Colorado. Great competition. Still have some spots available. Free shoes with your sign up. New strike movement colorway. Third Z helped me through the weekend. I slept like shit, but I don't feel absolutely terrible.
Right.
And so Third Z was my go through. So if you are looking to, improve your sleep, scan that QR code, get 15% off. All right. The men are here. The big guys, if you click that, pull them in and click that double screen. Perfect. Sick. Finally.
How we doing?
Sorry.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, we're wrapping some stuff up, obviously, and
Yeah.
saying goodbye to all the, volunteers and vendors and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this stepbrother style. Oh, cool. I'm gonna be behind you. Oh, behind me. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. You're not wearing tuxedos though, and I'm
Yeah,
sad.
hands on the shoulders.
And you guys aren't ladies, so I can't be like, hello, Miss Lady.
Hello, Miss Lady. That's right. Pam, I think I can help with this.
Is that an M or an N?
That's right. How are you guys feeling?
Stoked, man.
Yeah.
A little surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes in waves, right? Like every once in a while, I was like, am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm like, fuck, man. We just ran the CrossFit Games. That's
Yeah.
It's fucking sick.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, looking down at the patch on your on your jackets and your quarter zips and being like,
Yeah.
whoa,
That's you guys. That's awesome,
this
man.
isn't Legends.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like a gazillion questions. So when you guys have to go, just let me know, right? And we'll end it. But first off, I just want to say thank you for whatever was sacrificed and given, time, money, whatever, to make this happen. I think obviously there are a lot of things that you guys did amazing, and there are a lot of things that can be better. But I can see this foundation as good as we could have hoped for the Masters future. Like I really do. And so I just want to say thank you. And I'll be the first to say that I've been critical of like Legends, other things in the past and how things have ran and some of the workouts and stuff. And my foot is in my fucking mouth 100%. And I think this weekend was amazing, guys. And so, and I'm not just here trying to kiss ass by any means. Like the Masters world is our world. That's what WODprep does. And I love it. And it's the future of the sport. And it will always, it's the next step, right? Like, it's not the games, right? But it's here. And as we continue to grow this, it's it's the bridge between affiliate, community, Masters, and then like the highest professional, however you want to define it. And so it's just an amazing, you guys did a really, really good job.
Thanks,
and it
man.
was awesome. Yeah, it was really awesome to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. And you know, as far as past criticism is concerned, like we're never upset by that.
I mean, I was just letting you know. I was just like, I've been critical, and you know, it is what it is. If you are upset, I'm sorry, but
No,
you know,
no,
it just
no,
is what
no.
it is.
What I'm saying is like keep being critical.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, 100%. Oh, we're gonna ask you some hard questions here in the next
We don't have
hour.
all the answers, man. Like, you know, and some like, yeah, we don't have all the answers. So
Sure.
getting feedback from the community and from guys like you, that's only going to make this better. So, cool.
So we'll try and generally go chronological. Like I want to do a little like pre legends.
Oh,
You guys
no,
gonna switch?
Sorry, guys. I have really bad OCD.
Okay.
People already.
What's happening right now? What? Okay.
Now,
Is there?
like, the names are lined up with our.
There we go.
Wow.
At least on
That's
our side.
That's important to the
probably
viewer.
like lies in a question too.
You were on this side, so
No, it's like a mirror.
but no, if you like Joe's is there.
And
That's so interesting. Wow.
sorry.
Oh, it is a mirror.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's like a mirror.
That's hilarious. Okay. So 2023 games ends and the rumors out, and how did that come about? You know, obviously it, you know, like in short, right? How did you guys get the bid? Did you bid for it? Who else was in the running? Like what did that look like? Did CrossFit reach out to you? How did you guys become the you know, the platform for the Masters CrossFit Games?
So I got a text message from Dave in June.
Man, I hope Dave texts me one day.
And
I don't know.
man.
Yeah, I know. I've heard. Maybe not.
We're cool. So he sent me a text message in June of last year.
Okay.
And was like, hey man, I need to talk to you. And I was on vacation in Europe with my family. And I said, hey man, I'm on vacation in Europe with my family. Can this wait a couple weeks? He said, no, I need to talk to you right now. And so I got on the phone with him and he said, look, we're thinking about splitting the games up into a couple of different pieces, and we'd really like you guys to take over the Masters. What do you think? And I said, well, I got to check with Joe. And so then I tried calling Joe, and he didn't answer because it was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I was asleep.
And then so I sent him a text, and I said, I don't know what I said in the text, but it was
Castro wants us to run the Masters games.
What a fucking text message, huh?
I wake up at like midnight to go pee, you know, because
he's old.
Because we're masters.
I'm a Masters athlete or I'm a master.
Yeah.
Legend.
But
A legend.
I tried calling him back and he was like out to breakfast or something in Italy and didn't pick up, like a D-bag.
Yeah.
And then I just stayed up all night working because when you get that text, it's a little exciting.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know if others were in the running or what. Like there wasn't any like bid process. It was just
Got it.
like,
Okay.
Here you go. Do all the work now.
Yeah. Well, Dave was familiar with us.
Sure.
just when he used to live in Carlsbad, and you know, and from
Right.
me competing and Joe coaching, like we just knew each other. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's in June.
Yeah.
The announcement comes out like early September, right? Something like that. Maybe October.
Yeah.
And so how did Birmingham come up? Because I mean, I feel like there's probably a lot of nuance and conversation between that point, but finding a place is probably the starting point. So how did you guys end up here?
That was. I mean, we went through like a whole crazy, like it was like, oh, let's do it in San Diego. Let's not do it in San Diego because
Yeah, thank fucking God you didn't do it in San Diego.
it costs a fortune, right? Like we live there, and it
Why
would've been-
just live like an hour? Like I can drive here. I've fucking flown across the country for the CrossFit Games so many times. I was so happy to drive like a morning drive.
you know, and so like we worked with framework to like, you know, go out to a bunch of cities. The problem that you run into
What's Framework? So I don't know what that is.
framework.
Oh, sorry.
They're like a logistics company that
Okay.
works with CrossFit,
Got it.
Oh wow. Okay.
setting up events and stuff. And,
Cool.
and we worked with them a
Huh.
little bit when we took Legends to Mayhem, and so we were working with them to try and find a city that would work. The problem that we kept running into, though, was most convention centers like BJCC in major cities are booked up like more than a year in advance.
Right.
Sure.
15 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Set.
Okay.
And so, we were thinking, well, we want to do it, someplace where the weather is good. And
That's mine?
yeah, that's mine.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you got there?
Yeah. We wanted to do it like someplace where the weather was good. And I don't know. I can't remember exactly how we got there, but long story short is basically we reached a point where we needed a venue really bad. And we hadn't found one yet. And Heather from CrossFit was like, hey, have you guys just talked to Birmingham yet? And, that might be a good place. And so I got on a plane, flew out to Birmingham, checked out the venue, and was like, all right, it's a 2-hour drive from Atlanta. Anybody can get here in one flight if they need to, and then drive. And that was it. I mean, that was
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so the venue fit perfectly for what we were envisioning. And then the fact
100%.
that it was in like the complete middle of nowhere helped kind of seal the deal.
So, and you can tell me if I overstep. In this process, in this time frame, how long does it take? June till, because we didn't get the Birmingham announcement till
It was like January,
end of the year. Yeah, early January, maybe later.
February.
We didn't sign contracts until February.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a lot of. It's a. Would you say?
With
Sorry.
the convention center, we didn't sign contracts until like early February.
Okay, so this is a lot of like legwork and groundwork. Is CrossFit like funding this in any way for you guys to travel and work and time, etc.? Like, are they helping, or I have a lot of financial questions. I won't dig too far. If you tell me, just like, I would just pass it. Just let me know. It's not a big deal.
So here's what I would say. Like, I'm definitely not going to get into the financial.
Sure. Yeah.
But CrossFit has been very supportive.
Got it. Cool. Amazing. That's amazing to hear. Is the plan for them to be very supportive for the foreseeable future in like a similar sense?
Yeah, for sure. They're
Awesome.
They absolutely love the event this week.
Hell
and
yeah.
Awesome.
Want to just keep
That makes me
on.
really happy. Awesome. I love to hear that. That makes me really, really happy.
They'd love to see the community vibe that we had.
Yeah.
It was guys, it was regionals 15. Like, that's what it was, which is a fucking amazing vibe everywhere, every regionals. Right. And that's what it was. And I think it can only grow, right? You've laid the seed, man. It's gonna blossom for sure.
In terms of Birmingham, I feel like there was a stretch there where after we knew that the games weren't going to be in Madison anymore, where we kind of thought that the games were going to be in Birmingham. I
Yeah,
feel like
Morning
that was,
Chalk Up said that.
yeah, big kind of rumor. Do you know if that had any part to play on like why they kind of gave to you like, hey, like this seems like a really good venue, or like was there no kind of like discussion of that?
Yeah.
Or?
So that rumor was never actually true.
Sure.
Right,
okay.
right. That's what we
Yeah.
heard. We found out later.
Yeah, but
So it's just coincidence.
well, they did look at Birmingham, but there was
Okay.
never nobody ever got close to contract.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I confirmed that with both sides,
Got
CrossFit
it.
and Birmingham.
Got it.
But the Heather, who she's on the competition team,
Mm-hmm.
if you guys don't know her, she's a, like fucking phenomenal person.
She's awesome.
She was the one who was like, you should really go back, and take a look at Birmingham. It has everything you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the time frame of when this was decided to when it needed to be executed, and that time frame limited where you could go. Does that mean that you guys are going to look for somewhere else next year, or are we here for a while?
We definitely want to come back next year. It's not guaranteed.
Sure.
I mean, just looking at the facility, like in whole, I mean, even off the competition floors, right? We have so much more that we could maximize, utilize, bring more people, bring more vendors, change up the floors a little bit.
Yep.
Just to do it better. And
Bring pit throw down. I think
maybe.
there's space.
maybe.
I think there's space. I don't know. Yeah, that was my thought.
Also, I mean, if we're talking about like community, right? We want to get this competition to be bigger, more community. Guarantee more teams will sign up next year.
Yes. Yeah.
Team
That was
freaking awesome, man. Like it was
Yeah.
just so cool to see. 65 teams registered, 65 teams showed up.
Awesome.
right. Yeah. That's wild. From all over the world, guys. Like there was like from different continents coming to do a team, like not the CrossFit Games, just a workout. Like that's such a crazy concept. And that's what I was saying. I was like, there was how many athletes? We had just over 600 athletes, I think, or 650 if you did the math right. 460 plus whatever 200 or 65 times 3, whatever. Right.
724 registered. We had about 706 total.
And so that's, I mean, I think you could have facilitated 2 or 3 times the team from like how many people wanted to sign up.
Yeah.
Like everyone wanted to be a part of that.
Yes. Yeah. And so we want to maximize the facility, like just looking around and we already have a list, a collaboration list of like what we're going to do different, what we're going to do better, what we're going to add, what we can change. That starts now. I mean, hell, it starts when we're setting up the comp.
Right.
Because, when you're doing it, it's fresh right then. Let's get it down on paper or electronically. And, just so we don't miss anything, you don't forget anything. And throughout the entire competition, that's what we're doing. But we'll see how it works out with, getting our final bill here from this place. So
sure.
That looks like. And also, see what kind of support and how much the city wants us to be here. Right.
Yeah. I had the hotel clerks ask me, they're like, oh, I heard you guys stay where you are usually. Are you guys planning to stay here? And, and I kind of explained the background of CrossFit and the split, et cetera. And I definitely think trying to be in this city to like create the culture and the community, I would be, like even just here at Uptown, right? Like getting these 6 bars to like throw up some banners and like do things for it or whatever would be huge, right? And I think that's like very, very possible within this city. Birmingham is small enough. It has Madison vibes, definitely more so than Carson.
I think you could do you could close off Uptown and do like a block party type of thing up there.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, all right. So you guys sign in February and open happens, quarterfinals happen. At any point, are you communicating with I assume you're communicating with CrossFit at this point to design semifinals and design the games, right? Are you, from a programming standpoint, are you designing them at the same time? I know that, I've heard the feedback that Boz had a lot of say in semifinals, and you guys didn't know what quarterfinals were going to look like. You were kind of programming blind, which is a mind blown. I would puke if I had to like program blind a competition with having no idea. What did that look like from semifinals compared to the games compared to semifinals? How much help did you get from them, or did you get any help or any feedback or input, et cetera?
Yeah, so ton of help. This is the part that Joe and I love the most, right? Is designing the workouts is the most fun in creating a competition, because that's where like the kind of artistic vision sort of comes, right? And you have a picture in your head of like, all right, this is what I want the final event to look like, and and this is how I want to move it across the floor, and this is the finish that I'm hoping for, and like all of that you picture way in advance. And so our process has always been like very collaborative back and forth between Joe and I. Like we'll throw something up on a whiteboard, we'll start building in days, we'll start moving stuff around, like, oh, wouldn't that be cool if we turned this into an AMRAP, and maybe if we move this movement over here, and like Boz just kind of flowed into that process with us.
Sure.
And it was cool, man. I mean, it was
sweet.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Do you guys live in the same area? Like, are you guys in town together wherever you live, which is in Carlsbad?
We're both near Carlsbad. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so how long did it take how long till you guys were done riding? Like, when was your last adjustment to the games? I assume it was probably the snatch ladder and weight changing, like last minute, I would guess.
Yeah, I was gonna
Tuesday.
say like
That's what I figured.
sure, man. Yeah,
Is that
like
you go through like even equipment and
Right.
it's tough because you don't get exactly what was on the order, and because
Sure.
people make mistakes, and so we're missing like one plate that we can't do this workout, and
Right.
so we have to make a change, make an adjustment, and so
Is that what it was? Please tell me that's not what it was for the snatch ladder.
no,
What was
the
the
snatch
reason?
ladder was
I assume
Like-
it was equipment limited for sure.
yeah. So Rogue was. I want to be very, very clear.
Yeah.
Amazingly supportive.
five trucks.
Yeah, 5 trucks
Yeah.
of
That's
packed.
wild.
Packed very well, and they know that we're not going to pack well, so they're sending 6 trucks.
Yeah,
So
they are
was
very,
awesome.
very generous with their support. But you have us going on, you have PIC going on, you have their event in Scotland that they're
Yeah.
getting ready for, that they're already shipping
Okay.
equipment out to.
Mhm.
Like, there's just not enough equipment, and so things like the shorty bars and like things just started getting cut
Got
after the initial programming, and so
Okay.
it was like, oh well, shit, we don't have shorty bars, we can't roll bars down the floor, we don't have enough bars
Oh.
3 different
Mhm.
floors and have a capable warm-up area to have 4 regular bars that are staggered down the floor, right? So
Mhm.
it's things like that that led to on-site adjustments that
Sure.
weren't exactly as we visioned, but I think
No, I think it was good. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely evident, right? Like the progression concept of not having a rep counter on a screen, right, is extremely unfeasible at this stage of the competition, right? Like, that's a very high cost. But moving down the floor is an easy solution, right? But if you're low in equipment, it's not an easy solution at that point. So that makes sense. Even like that does make a lot of sense. Okay, so how do you guys think it went? We'll go back. So like your February happens, you go through semifinals, you get everyone here. What does that process look like? How much are you guys in Birmingham? And what does it look like leading up to like the day start of competition from the end of semifinals?
I mean, so we took what, 3,
Yeah, we did
4
3
site visits? 3?
3 site visits. Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 site visits. First one to he went first. I think I was out of town. And it really only takes one of us to go see a site to kind of say yeah, this is highly possible that we can pull it off here. Then we, as a team, we come in, we check it out, walk through it, start throwing out ideas on where stuff would go and how the setup would be and all that. Get schematics in, measurements, see how big of the floor or how much space we can make, how far the pillars, how much seating can we provide. Then it goes into, okay, logistics, equipment, apparel, volunteer management the entire time of getting we had
So many volunteers.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it's needed, man. It's a lot. And
It's
so,
crazy.
and everyone worked a lot. And so
They worked a lot. I know. I saw it.
process in the back end, which is 90% my wife. And knowing
She's
that
an angel.
Yeah.
knowing that we're going to have to do this again. So, and it's like refining that process, making it better along the way, and, setting that whole, how we're going to run it for years to come and get better, because athlete experience is super important, but also volunteer experience needs to be highly important. We need them to have time. We need to take care of them. And, as a guy that, I've grown up I'll just do it myself. I'll figure it out. And I can work until I die. Not everyone's like that. And so she's like, no, you need to give them snacks. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's order snacks.
Gotta order food?
You
Bring
need
your
a
own food.
schedule.
Yeah.
They can't judge for 6 hours. I'm like, why not? I've done it. So
Right.
it's just, and then it's, building that process, the communication, what information are we getting them at a certain point? Like, that is a lot.
Mhm.
And alongside that, we're figuring out the whole contract in Birmingham. What can we do? What do they have? Where do we get tables? Where do we get chairs? And, all that stuff, all whilst, having, our families, separate jobs, and,
What do you guys do?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you guys do? What do you do for your non-CrossFit job?
I don't know. My stuff's kind of weird. So I'm in mortgage technology. So if we want to
It's
bore the
very
shit out of all
unique.
your listeners right now, I can talk about that for an hour.
Pivot.
Pivot. Bail. No, that sounds that interesting.
Bob makes the schedule.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I run a couple companies in that space. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Joe, what about you?
I'm transitioning into this being
Hell yeah.
a full-time gig.
That
now.
means it's going to be even better. I love it.
Yeah.
All while, really focusing on my kids. They're 7 and 5, starting to play sports and prioritizing that the weekends. It's what I want. It's what I want to work my ass off 4 days in a row, and then, most of the time take the weekend off, like fully off, rather than,
What's
checking my-
that? I don't know what that fucking means.
Yeah,
Teach me.
it's-
If you figure it out,
it's
I'll pay you to
stressful.
teach me.
Yeah. When Monday morning you have 84 emails.
Yeah. Ugh.
And so then you got to work through it, but it's a good balance for me. So but yeah, this is what I want to do, and I want to become excellent at it.
Yeah. You guys you're doing a pretty good job. All right. I'd like to talk some workouts. Do you have anything before we dig into like specifics?
Yeah, I want to hear the workouts.
10 workouts was a pretty a pretty ballsy decision.
Yeah.
Talk us through that. Like, that was a lot of volume. It was great. I loved it. I loved it a lot, but it was a lot. And I assume there's a lot of thought that went into 10 workouts.
So some of this comes from my experience as a competitor and kind of always leaving a competition wanting more, right? And just from a master's perspective, and I get it just because masters have never had their own show. Like at the games, we would get, 7 workouts. At Wadapalooza, we'd get 5 workavs, right?
Sure.
And just knowing all of the competitors and having all the conversations backstage that I've had with them over the years, like it was always like we want more, and so we wanted to do more. We didn't know exactly what that number looked like, and then as the programming was coming together, we ended up with 9 actually,
Okay.
and then we made a change to work out 1.
Okay.
And that opened up a space in the schedule, and I texted Joe and I was like, hey, we don't have like that light barbell burner workout that just everyone looks at and says that weight's too light, and then it just fucking destroys people.
That workout was solid. That was awesome.
It was one of those, and so
75 pounds.
it's only 75 pounds. It's only 80-foot lunge, and
They
dumbbells
do.
are light, right? And that was fucking jelly like.
Oh yeah, dude. People were fucked after that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so that was workout 10. That was the one that we threw in last, and just we stepped back from it and said, okay, from an overall volume perspective, are we sending people home hurt, or are we sending people home sore?
Sure.
And we came to the decision based on what we saw on paper that we're probably just sending them home sore. And we felt like this is it, man. We're trying to crown the fittest masters athletes on earth. Let's put the real test in front of them.
So looking at the test, right? Obviously, if you guys have done this a lot, there were generally a lot of redundancy, right? A lot of pulling off the ground, a lot of knee flexion, and I'm going to assume, right? And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but it was an equipment limitation, right? I'm guessing handstand push-ups were meant to be in here at some point, maybe over dumbbell thrusters or
Dumbbell shoulder.
Oh, the dumbbell shoulder to
overhead,
overhead.
Yeah.
And that's right. And so talk us through that. So when you had your original 10,
Yeah.
and then how long before you had those like last minute I assume it was like when you started getting the logistics logs from Rogue as far as the equipment.
So that was like what, 5 weeks,
Yeah, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
4 or 5 weeks
Yeah.
out from
Okay.
now, is when we got kind of like the updated final list, because they're working through, they're trying to be fair and support it a lot. And
Yeah.
so we get that and we're like, oh crap, here we go. And so having to make those adjustments, how are we going to, we got to take handstand push-ups out. We got to take, I think we were wall walks at some point.
Yeah, we
Okay.
were the wall walks.
So
Wall
that
walks with the bar muscle ups would have been
Yeah,
that would have been a crush.
that would have been cool.
That would have been cool.
That would have been really cool.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Write this down.
Writing it down.
Yeah,
We'll
so
give
like
you credit for
4 or
it.
5 weeks out. Yeah, the WODprep workout.
Yeah.
That's when we had to start making
Oh.
changes and really, and then it kind of affects other workouts, and so it becomes difficult to still have 10 tests, and it's like making 10 different meals,
Right.
10-course meal with 7 ingredients, and so it's
Right.
like,
Yeah, for sure. And then I assume time was a big limiter as well, scheduling.
yeah, and then you're expanding the field. You're
Right.
there's only so many hours in the day, right?
Right.
That you have your competition. So it becomes difficult. We, have a huge field that we're working with, and
Huge.
we want to test them. Want to test them across, all times and domains, and it becomes very difficult to achieve that. I think we're getting better. We're not close to as good as we're going to be next year and the year following, and whatever. But yeah, that was about 4 weeks.
One of the biggest challenges that you run into with a field this big, I already wrote it down.
All right, down.
One of the biggest challenges that you run into with a field this big is trying to do a long endurance event.
100%.
Right,
That
yeah.
was my next question of how you split up that deadlift workout. You said you had to change it.
So originally that workout was, so there, you guys obviously know the stadium next door, but
Mhm.
there's a, for listeners' perspective, right? There's a football stadium right next door to the convention center. It's maybe a quarter mile at most down the road from the entrance of the
Yeah,
north.
we can see it out of our window right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
And-
different one. That's a baseball stadium. Yeah.
Maybe a quarter mile from like the Dock One,
Yeah.
North Hall entrance, right? Run down a quarter mile. And so we were going to have the workout was going to be out and around that stadium, a run, and it was almost exactly a mile. And so it was going to be 3 mile. It was going to be 3 rounds, mile run, do something inside, right?
Hell yeah. That's
then-
my kind of workout right there.
Yeah. And it was really cool, but it was a 30-minute time count.
Right.
Right.
In order to do that, we got to run at least two
Two
full
heat.
times. So it's like 40
Right.
heat. And we ran into problems with the
City.
people who own the stadium. They didn't want us running around it because they were worried that the grass was going to get ruined.
Oh yeah, because they have a game Friday
Well, they had a game
Yeah.
on Saturday,
or
but
Saturday.
their grass is really manicured. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like
Yeah.
it's
It is
very
nice.
nice. It's like
We could walk it off.
yeah, yeah, like
Right. Yeah. Put
there's
caution tape up.
of like
Yeah.
bike racks, and so a couple of weeks ago, and on our last site visit, we just realized like, all right, it just isn't going to work. They're just not cooperating. They're not giving us what we need here in order to run this event, and so we gotta take it back to heats of 20, and then that means that we really only have about 18 minutes to work with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then so we're like, okay, we'll do this run deadlift, and we'll use the street outside, because we didn't want to run loops like inside. I just thought that might have.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be a lot.
Good decision for sure.
We tried that, and we tried everything. We're like, all right,
we tried running
some
around
sort of track
the
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of silly and stupid.
I
And
feel stupid even spending hours on that.
yeah, and then really that one, like we even kind of shortened the distance a little bit.
That was my next question.
Wanted to,
Yeah.
and that was more to do with the heat. Like
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
concerned
Yeah.
that for athlete safety.
Seriously, and I'm glad we got there.
I'm glad we did because it was scorching. You know,
It was. Yeah.
It just sucks because we didn't have like a really long time domain workout.
Yeah, it ended up pretty short.
Yeah, and it was just kind of a bummer from that perspective. But it gives us something to think about for next year, right? And
Yeah.
like, it's on my list, or our combined list of to-dos. It's like, all right, how do we figure out an effective way to do a long monostructural test with the number of athletes that we got to jam through?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
By the
okay.
way,
Yeah.
if Rogue happens to be listening,
Rogue's definitely listening.
and if they want somebody to test out their new rowers, which look
Ooh,
fucking
yes.
amazing,
We'll take
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a major competition, we'll take 60 because we need 20 for the warm-up area
I do.
and 40 on
At
the
least. That was my next question was rowers. Was it not in the cards that you guys wanted to have a rower, which seems strange in general, right? Like just having a competition, not having a rower, or was it an equipment limitation?
So, sorry, do you mind if I answer this one?
Yeah.
Joe and I don't know, what was it? Was it last year? Or no, it was Legends this year. We had no equipment, right? No machines.
No machines.
No machines at Legends this past year
No machines.
because machines are a logistical fucking nightmare,
So
man. Like
stressful.
They're
monitor.
expensive.
Sure.
Well, it's the expense is one thing, but it's like monitors not working.
Yeah, sure.
Like all the
Batteries.
shit, like batteries dying, and like even if you go through and you change every battery and do everything you need to do and you set up the monitor in just the right way, somebody hits a button wrong and everything gets fucked up. And so
Yep.
like we didn't want to run the CrossFit Games for the first time
Oh.
and have a whole bunch of machines be involved and that be the reason why logistically everything falls apart,
Mhm.
So now that we have a year
Got
under
it.
our
Okay.
belt, way more comfortable introducing
Yeah.
more machines.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So you've gone over the first event, which was kind of like a talking point. And what was event 2?
That was the overhead.
The overhead squat one, right? What a great event. Like, I love a burn it down type thing. Obviously writing it, you have to know there's going to be some like outward concern of controversy for a standard, right? Like how did you guys go about prepping your judges for hip extension and standards, et cetera? Like what did that look like? Cause that workout is in and of itself, right? Like a very challenging one to operate. Everyone's going to do 50 overhead squats in like 45 seconds
Yeah,
or something crazy like
Saw
that,
times
right?
In like the 130s,
So,
140s.
Really-
yeah, how did that come about, and like how did you guys decide that movement specifically?
We really lean on the judges that we have in place who are
Yeah.
highly experienced, and you can't use all your highly experienced judges, like the super high ones, in a lane because you're wasting their experience and their expertise and their ability to teach others how to get to their level. And so you lean on them. Okay, what have they done at the games? What have you been told? What did you guys practice? What did you guys cover? And so we lean on our floor lead judges and our head judge, but also another position we have on the floor is our floor manager, who is also a highly experienced judge that has done the games in Wodapalooza. So you have a lot of eyeballs on it, and it's kind of like this telling the judges like, all right, here's where you're looking, hips, knees, wherever they tell them. So they have a very clear understanding of like, this is where we want you looking. Now, no one's perfect. All the judges on the games side all have a lot of experience, but there's still at high speed movements, it is very difficult. So they went over a series of Zoom calls, practice on site when they all got here, prepping in the morning. So there was a lot of time spent on really emphasizing what they should be looking for. And that mainly came from our floor lead judges and their leadership.
Yeah, and I feel like with that style of a workout too, something that we were talking about is obviously the not having of a chip timer because then it's a huge expense and a huge cost, and
Also a
I
huge
don't.
risk too. By
Yeah,
the way.
and a huge risk too. Yeah, if one of those like shoot out, but I think I didn't hear anything of any kind of timing discrepancies at all. It seemed like that all went off without a hitch. Especially in a workout like that, like kind of another like ballsy choice, right? Like
Mhm.
workout's gonna be sub 2 minutes, really aggressive, and it seemed like all the judges did a really good job of executing that, and all the athletes seemed really happy with the results of it too. So
Yeah.
Not all. There are 440 athletes.
not all. Okay, well, yeah, fair
We
enough.
heard from the ones that
Didn't seem like it was a big like outrage, but
No. Hey,
No.
Look, it's
For timing, I only received like wait, it was like maybe a comment or something like, oh,
sure.
human error is going to be involved. I'm like, yeah, human error is always involved, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really hear much of that. There was other stuff, obviously, people complained about.
Look, I would say actually having the floor, the way the floor was set up with the split 10 and 10,
Mm-hmm. That was cool.
It was cool, but
Mhm.
you also like any photo finishes,
Right.
it's kind of hard to dispute.
Yeah.
One's on one side and one's on the other. It's not that we did that intentionally.
Right.
Like my preference would be to have unlimited floor space and everybody starts and finishes at the same spot. But I don't. There were some ones that were really close, but yeah, nobody really.
Mhm.
So
We're losing you a bit.
oh, I said nobody really
We're
complained.
losing you guys a bit. Got it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you mentioned that you guys had people weren't happy. So what in your ears, like what feedback did you guys get so far to this point? Like, what kind of like what you were just thinking about and referencing over like what was the, obviously I think you'll get a lot of good feedback, but some of the pushback that you got, whether it was athlete complaints or programming complaints or judging or timing or whatever.
No, I mean, it was, look, 99.9% of the feedback was super positive.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was, there wasn't a long monostructural event. Yep. Noted. Totally. Wish we could have put one in. We couldn't. Fuck. Was there anything else?
Programming, it wasn't from anyone that was strong, or
Yeah.
strength is like, not a worry for them.
Okay.
The scaling that we went with,
taking out the handstand walks for
the handstand walks for the 60 plus.
Okay.
What else? The other
It's hard. It's hard to scale, but I just want to say you guys do it well, right? It's hard to take a workout from a 35 elite athlete. Oh,
yeah.
I think we're just kind of catching up. Should be good. Yeah.
there we go. It's hard to take the standard, right, and move it all the way down, right?
Yeah.
30 years worth. And so I think you guys, obviously, looking at it, I think there could have been some things that were better, like maybe just like finishing that workout with a handstand walk, right? Like for the 60 to 64, it's like give them a time break, right? And then like add that in, or like there's always those hindsight. It's easy, but I know there's a lot of like limitations and restrictions on it. And so, but I think overall you guys do a really good job of like scaling the 10-year regression pretty well.
Thanks, man.
Moving on to some
you
of
guys hear
the
this or not?
later workouts. Yeah, it's like a little. There's like a little.
It's just a little
choppiness,
lag.
but yeah,
You guys are
should
a
be
little bit
good.
lagged. Let's see if you can catch up. Give us a second.
Cool. Think we're good
Okay.
now.
Maybe.
We're good.
But yeah, like looking at some of the later tests, looking at specifically the wall ball, chipper, and kind of ladder into the, bike sprint, two really beautiful tests, like in isolation, back to back, really brutal. Was that intentional? Did that become kind of a scheduling thing? I know especially in those, like the 35 to 39, like not a ton of time in between two. Like, is that more like a strategic thing? Like, hey, if you're going to sell it on like 75 wall balls at the end, you better have some juice on the bike when you go again type of thing, or how'd that kind of go on your guys' end?
That was a little bit of Like some of it was equipment changes that led to
Sure. Okay.
schedule changes, which like meant we had to
Right.
like move workouts around. And like a lot of it was like equipment contention on
Yeah, that was huge.
on the 3 different floors going at the
Floors
same
and stuff. Yeah.
And
Right.
so like that's kind of why those 2 ended up back to back, which were that was nasty, man. I mean,
that was
Yeah. I mean, I think it was kind of cool. Like,
It was
Yeah.
hard.
it was I mean, that day was brutal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
especially,
I know.
both, like you
Watch.
said, both workouts tested individually is insane. And then just to put them in one day, mind boggling to see
Yeah.
what these athletes are capable of. And
right.
that chipper, obviously, like you said, having enough juice to do 75 wall balls, you got to have the guts and to go for it and just to get into that pain cave. And then going into the echo bike workout, upon reflection now, it's incredible how you get to test how good you are and efficient at double unders and chest to bar. And you're only doing 150 double unders and 40 chest to bar.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're not efficient at chest to bar, you're going to really struggle in this workout because you need to have that under fatigue perfection almost to be able to finish that workout in 2 rounds. So without having to do 100 chest to bar or do 300-400 double unders, you kind of get to see how good are you extremely tired. And you don't have to get, 300 double unders in to achieve that. So that was a
Sure. Yeah. That's a small amount.
What was that? I missed that last part.
We didn't say anything.
behind again.
Okay.
All right.
Moving with that, I thought, when we all kind of looked at the standards and flow, like pretty specifically, the having to not only complete your required amount of reps, but I assume like a rep being you crossing that kind of finish line, right? And we saw that happen with, I think, more than one athlete. Was that really intentional? Like, did you guys test this one and be like, we need to make sure that they cross the line, because if they don't, they have to do the buy-in again, and that's going to floor them even more? I think that was a really cool kind of caveat to have in there.
So we tested this a couple of different ways, and with like a couple of different style athletes to see where that kind of ended up. And this workout, again, like originally conceived, was actually on a Concept 2 bike, and it was 125.
Oh, okay.
It's not 100.
That would have been
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Totally. And
I want to try that now on the C2.
Yeah. Well, and I did it on a rower. Joe did it on.
Yeah.
You did it on Concept 2, or I can't remember.
Yes, I did on the Concept 2.
And we're two very different athletes. Like, I'm the guy that hammers the equipment. He's the gymnastic endurance and double under endurance guy, right? And what was cool to me about that workout is you could look at it very easily and just be like, oh man, whoever can hammer that equipment is totally going to win this thing. And that was not the case across the board. Like,
very surprising.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone went way too hard in that first. I mean, really, you had basically 3 minutes.
3 minutes
on the bike. And, that going 3 minutes at 90% capacity left the big dudes just hammered, completely toast,
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was the guys that had the gymnastics endurance that were the ones that ended up winning that event. The Jason Grubb, Will Morads, right? Like guys that you wouldn't necessarily say are machine
powerhouses.
beats. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what we saw.
Well, I think people. Go ahead. Sorry.
What we saw was also, I think it was more like psychological or setup. Like if you're a smaller guy, you're looking at this workout thinking, I'm probably not going to win this workout. These beasts next to me, they're huge, are going to smoke me. So you're automatically like pacing it. But then what we saw was these big guys, they're thinking, I should win this workout. I only have to do 40 chest to bar. Then they get smoked, and then they can't perform in the third round. And all of a sudden, these smaller guys are like, hey, I could still go. and they end up beating them. So we saw a lot of these smaller guys taking third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and, you know, edging out these other guys that were expected to kind of be in the top 3, 5 or whatever. So it was really surprising. I didn't expect that, but that was really cool to see, just that pacing and not trying to finish in 2 rounds, which is, I think, a beautiful part of this workout, because it's kind of like a badge of honor to finish that in 2 rounds, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of guys took the bait, and
sure.
Yeah. So, but back to your original question around, like, is that what we did when we designed the workout and you had the extra rep going back to the mat? Yes, that was the intent, right? Like, we wanted that in there because we knew it was going to be really, really close for a lot of guys to get this done in 2. And so we wanted to see kind of what would happen if they weren't allowed just to stay on the bike.
Yeah.
And they had to get to a finish line. And
They
I
had
felt
to cross. Yeah.
I felt bad for the guys afterwards, man. Like, honestly, I felt like shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, there was like an angel and devil on
Yeah,
my
it was.
Guys,
It
I mean,
was
that's part of it, you know?
shoulder. Cool. Yeah, we keep thinking that we're
Awesome.
behind. So that's why we
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's all
we're
good.
catching up. Yeah, we're catching up.
We're getting it.
Yeah, it's coming in slowly. Definitely my favorite event of the weekend. I think it ended up being, again, exactly like you said, but more so for the older divisions. Like, if they did well and they pushed the bike really hard, there were so many people that never got back to the bike after that first round. It was really interesting to watch. It was a good one. It was brutal for sure. So you guys chose a front squat to test, which I love. I love a 1RM in big competition. How did that come out? Why'd you choose a front squat?
we wanted a big lift. Already doing a lot of cleans. Wanted to do back squat. I think we want to do back squat, right? Maybe. But
Yeah,
weight
whereas between the two.
so much weight would be needed for back squat. I mean, we saw a guy front squat before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we're going to see multiple 500 pluses. The Olympic lifts were, utilized elsewhere. And, and Bob, honestly, his favorite lift is front squat. So I'm pretty sure that's why we did it.
Yeah. I wanted to see if anybody could beat me.
So we saw two guys?
2 guys did. Yeah. I can't touch 455, but someday.
Can you guys hear him okay? Okay, so the standard is my favorite CrossFit workout ever in competition. And so how did you guys choose that? And how did you decide how to scale it through the ages?
So it's our favorite workout in competition also. We had been trying to find a way to build the standard into a Legends event for a couple years now. And
Sure.
you want us to keep talking?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going.
All right. So we've been trying to find a way to build it into an event at Legends for a couple years now. And, we just decided that what better place to do it than the CrossFit Games. It was the first workout that we programmed for the CrossFit Games. And, yeah, man, I mean, I think it went off great. The scaling, we bounced around on the scaling on whether or not we wanted to lower the weight, lower the reps or just muscle ups. Like we just kind of bounced around and ultimately decided that from a volume perspective for the older age groups that did it, just over the course of the entire weekend, doing the 25 made the most sense. And, you're going to get the same winner at that volume that you would at the 30-30.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of those athletes at those higher age groups, with only 5 less, we're still completing. So I mean, I feel like that scaled really, really well. What kind of led to, you know, your thought process with the floor setup? I feel like we've seen the standard setup a few different ways in competition. Obviously, you know, you had like the particular floor with the particular rigs. Did you have any like initial back and forth with how you want to play around with the setup for that workout?
Yeah. So the floor setup, you know, with short lanes, it's difficult to show
Yeah.
the progression that we wanted.
Yeah.
So
And then without shorty bars too.
without shorty bars, you can't line them up in one direct line.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you have to stagger.
Right.
We've, you know, you've done it in class. You've clipped someone's bar and they're getting too close, and huge safety issue, especially these guys going so fast. So you have to stagger. And then it's like, cool, how do you make it fair? Went through what we took an hour at least, talking through all these crazy variations of what we could do. And ultimately it's the shorty bars. We need the shorty bars to be able to make that happen. So it's an equipment thing, because safety is number one. So with different equipment, we can provide, you know, a more uniform test and show progression. And then you can you can see the story better on the broadcast. It's way more visible and more exciting, to be frank. So it's the shorty bars is what would have made that a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like something to the average CrossFit spectator that definitely gets lost in that. You know, we talk about all the time, like the seeing and staggering of athletes like in lanes. And I feel like a lot of times people don't necessarily know why that's happening until like you actually watch. If you were to put all the big bars next to each other, like the madness that would ensue. So I feel like that's an important part to mention for all the people listening, like the real difference between those shorty bars versus the regular barbells on the floor.
And did you guys think anyone was gonna break the world record on it?
No.
No.
That was sick. Yeah. That was fucking crazy. And I felt like he had so much more in the tank, right? Like he just looked like he just did like a RPE 8.5 or something. Like definitely not RPE 10, you know, and you can argue he didn't have to move the bar, right? He wasn't, you know, the setup was a little bit different, but I mean, he fucking crushed it. That was so sick to watch.
Dude, he fucking crushed the whole weekend. Like he is.
Yeah, he looked really fit.
He's just unbelievable, man. I mean, and a great human being too. Like, he's fucking great.
That Echo Bike workout, he wasn't even tired afterwards. It looked like he was standing. The only guy that finished that I saw stay standing.
Right.
Yeah, it was. Oh, that's really loud. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. He was very, very impressive. I mean, everyone was impressive. Did you see anyone finish it in one round? Speaking of the bike workout, I don't know if you guys know, there was one. At least that I know of.
It was women. 65 plus. Patty McGill. It was Patty McGill.
Patty, savage. She's so fit. Her machine work is crazy. It's like it's fit for a 45-year-old female.
Yeah. So,
100%.
yeah, I was talking
It was cool to watch. Let's see what else.
So I mean, going into the 8-round workout with the cleans, I mean, I feel like that to me exemplifies like the winner. And I tried looking at this at some point, but to me, that's like what like high level competitive CrossFit is, right? Like it seemed like if you won that workout, you were in pretty good contention to probably win the competition. Did you guys go through different iterations of that? Like with how fast it was, specifically also with the step over of the burpees. I think for me, that was probably my favorite event of the weekend to see.
Yeah, the step over of the burpee was to equalize the distance traveled it was the staggering of the bars. So it's to equalize the distance traveled of the bar closer to the rig.
Okay.
Yeah, but that workout
got it.
in a in of itself was the only workout that we programmed from day one that didn't get changed at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that one, we liked it from day one and kind of built around it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that one, we liked it from day one and kind of.
We're a little delayed.
Yeah, but we got you. We
We're-
got some
we're coming.
strategies here.
Yeah, it's on our end. It's not even on your end. I don't know what's happening. Like
Yeah.
it's coming through on YouTube, but it's not coming through on our computer. Cool. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess then building into the last one, you know, I mean, me personally, like, I like the test. Was that one that potentially like was dual dumbbell? Like, was it like maybe a barbell? Like, was that one that was shifted at all? And then was there any intention to have a different order compared to like day 2 and just having that one on day 3?
So yeah, and both those questions. Yeah. So originally
Sure.
the snatch speed ladder was going to be on Sunday morning. And then this was going to be on Sunday. The final workout was gonna be
Okay.
in the afternoon.
And we're going to cut after snatch.
And we were going to cut after snatch. But then we moved the snatch to
Got it.
earlier in the week for safety reasons. And then, yeah, so it just became its own event on Sunday regardless. But that event
Got it.
was originally a alternating hang,
Clean.
hang squat clean
Clean.
thruster
Yeah.
with the bar muscle up. So it was a little same weight, but just a little slower movement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Biceps.
yeah, we talked to Boz about that one a lot, and we were concerned that on Sunday, after all the work that we put everyone through, that might lead to a bunch of bicep tears. And so we just decided, let's just
Okay.
simplify it and just make it
Sure.
a regular thruster.
Got it.
Yeah. It was yeah, the single arm thruster is such an interesting movement. It's kind of awkward, but I think this should have been a single arm, alternating clean for sure. I think it was a better map. I think that would have been a better movement. Personally, I think a wall walk would have been sick too. Wall walks and
Yeah.
bar muscle ups. I did that I've done that combo in training, but we had that combo at the gauntlet at Wadapalooza like 4 or 5 years ago, and it finished and it was terrible. It was like 5-5. Like you just kept going back and forth.
Yeah,
I
it's
did one
real
round and I felt
shoulder
great.
heavy.
And then no, you can't press out of it. You just can't press out of the bar
Yeah,
muscle up
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Anyways, it was it ended up good. So
We're gonna do
I know you guys probably don't like live through the social media world. And so obviously people post things and whatnot. And so what does that look like? Like if, there's maybe some judging discrepancies and some, maybe things happening that might not have been like, how often are you guys like reworking with the team and moving forward? Like coming to powwow and like making adjustments, et cetera. What does that look like on the back end?
It's like judging.
Yeah, what are you talking about exactly?
Did you guys ask another question? I
No,
missed.
it is-
Oh, okay.
Talk about judging.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we didn't understand the question 100%.
So there's, Hiller's posting plenty of stuff that's like shows judging discrepancies of like good reps being called no reps being called good reps, right? And so how much of that do you guys take into consideration for next year? Do you just like, is that just like water under the bridge? And so, do you let any of that kind of noise influence any of your decisions moving forward ever?
No.
No, I mean, Hiller's posting. I mean, he can do what he wants. That's cool. To be honest, it doesn't affect what we do. It's already stuff we're working on and are aware of
Right.
and are looking to correct.
Sure.
And we can't rely on social media and people catching us not doing stuff if we want to be as good as we want to be. So
Yeah.
we're constantly working with our team, trying to figure out how to get the judges to be more consistent, to see more, where do we position them, how do we do it better. And then some stuff on social media is simply taken out of context sometimes, and you just don't know the situation of the athlete or what's going on. So
Sure.
we're constantly working to improve on that. And but yeah, I mean, social media, we're not really on it much.
Yeah, definitely. I
think it's a good thing.
Yeah, we got you. We're still just delaying just a little bit. Moving into another question. So yeah, I know you talked about the kind of dual battle of having equipment out on the floor and then having an adequately stocked warm-up area. Warm-up area seemed really, really solid. I know you guys obviously went with the decision to, and I'm pretty sure you sent this out in plenty of communications beforehand, but really enforce like the separation of like coaches in the coaches area and then athletes in the warm-up area. Kind of just like what in your process made you decide how many floors you needed, how many racks you had, where the bikes were, all those kind of things. Did that change throughout the competition? And how much do you feel like you needed to put an emphasis on having like a really solid warm-up area? Because it seemed like everybody was able to warm up fairly adequately for all of their events.
I mean, warm-up area is one of those things that's on the list of, it'll be on the list every year of how do we do it better. It's always equipment and resource contention. But we always want to do it better, do more. And we take what we get and we do the best with it. It's really, that's kind of all there is to it.
Did you guys have to send the bikes back early?
No, they're still downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was only like 3 in the warm up. There was only like 3 after like the event. There's only like 3 in the warm up area.
One. What was it? What was the reason? I'd have to check with our gear guy.
I don't know, whatever, 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume there was because they were out. They were getting ready for the event the day before, and they were out on the floor, and they didn't make it back out today.
Well, we had
or like the end of the event was.
We had to use them in the team event at the end of the day yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And then we didn't feel like we needed 20 of them in the warm up area this morning.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
that could have been a miss.
Yeah, it was fine today. Everyone was warming up solo.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, giving some love to some of the team workouts. Definitely see, like compared to like CrossFit Games in the past with just teams in general compared to individual events. You guys definitely played off of the individual events into the team events, which I thought was really cool. It kind of gave teams more of an opportunity to feel like they were almost like competing like individuals, but like in a team format. Did you guys go through different iterations of having like a whole separate team event? Obviously, that would make equipment so much more of an issue. Was it kind of driven by that? Or like, did you have like initial plans to like, oh, like the team workouts are going to be completely different?
Oh yeah. We sent a awesome wish list to Rogue with worms and skis,
nice.
GHDs and
it was a Christmas wish list for sure.
Pig flips and like the whole shit.
Yeah, it was great. But we had some really good workouts planned with some very exotic, equipment that we didn't get. So we had to work with what we got, and we're also, working. This being the first, or technically the second time we've done teams before, but the first time that, at this scale, we understood that it's going to be athletes that a lot of them are fit and maybe 1 or 2 are not as fit. So being able to let everyone participate, have a good time, push for their team, but not making like certain requirements on, like the toes to bar, for instance, you could pair up however you wanted. You can literally keep one guy doing 80 toes to bar with the other partners filtering out. So it's kind of giving them an option to, utilize the skill set of one teammate and letting him shine, and then the other teammates doing what they can. So
Yeah, I really like that concept in team of, like some requirement is okay, but you don't just want to embarrass, like it's a fun thing, right? So you don't want to embarrass anybody, right? And they're just standing around. That's not a good time. Like I get it, Forging Elite Fitness and, like all the, this like typical CrossFit, hardo stuff, which I'm all for sure. But like the whole point is community and to get more people out there. So I agree with decisions like that for sure. And designing competition. Man, I had a question. Go ahead, Nelson.
I mean, I have like a wrapping question, but if you have more stuff.
So what's it look like moving forward? Like, what are your next steps this week? Oh, I did have one. I had one more. What was the cornerstone workout? Like Dave always talks about, like, there's like, he has like a base workout and like everything kind of like works around it. Did you guys have something like that? The few competitions that I've written, or the training plans, it's like usually written around one concept and then it kind of like branches out around it.
Standard.
Yeah, the standard was what we built everything around.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So looking at how it played out, right? I assume you guys are going to debrief even further, obviously, but looking at results that so far, is there any workouts or implements or modalities, etc., that you are already like, oh, we could have done this better, we could have written this workout a little bit better, besides the monostructural piece, right? Obviously it could have been longer, right? I think that was very evident with the time domains, but other than that, is there anything that you guys are like, this workout could have been better, or we could have added something in, or we could have taken this away, and then blah blah blah?
I would say every single one of the workouts, other than the standard, because I think we can all agree the standard is
Perfect.
like workout perfection, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
We can always, we're going to go back and probably tweak all of these to some extent. And wouldn't it have been cool if we had, reversed the reps, or if we had done this, and that leads to a lot of our creative process for the next event. So,
like, what if you did the echo bike 2, 3, 4? That'd be kind of cool.
Going the other way?
Yeah.
That'd be cool and really fucking miserable.
People getting off that bike or not, they ain't gonna be able to jump up to the bar,
Right.
Yeah.
let alone do a double under.
I think that one of the things that I learned today actually was the bar muscle up capacity of the 55 to 59 and 60 to 64 women completely surprised me.
Yeah, me too.
I did not. I told Joe before that workout started that I was afraid, and I should go and apologize to each one of these women individually now. But I was afraid of what that was going to look like on the floor, because I felt like we had overprogrammed it, and they completely surprised me.
Yeah, the athletes are quote unquote getting older, right? So like the people, the training age of CrossFit for these athletes is getting older, right? And so 5 years ago, a 55 to 59 would have gotten obliterated in that workout at that volume, right? They had 30 bar muscle ups. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right. That's a ton of bar muscle ups in a pretty small amount of time, right? And you had 4 girls finish it, and one almost finished. My athlete almost finished. She was 1 rep short. And so it's interesting. And then 60 to 64. I mean, I was coaching 2 years ago, and one girl had ring muscle ups, right? And only a couple, but I think every athlete, maybe but 1 or 2 that made the cut had bar muscle ups in 60 to 64, and that's for sure new to the field as a totality, like viewpoint of their ability.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was pretty blown away by them. I want to get the standard changed on bar muscle ups, on the feet. I think that the toes, like any part of the foot going above the bar, is overly strict, and it makes it really hard to judge and leads to inconsistency.
Super hard.
Judging is so difficult, even with these guys that are highly experienced and they're leading. It's so difficult, and I don't think that's I think making the change to the heel, it won't change the movement or the athletes, what they can do, but it'll make
Right.
it more consistent judging, which is why standards that we do, like for instance, we said everyone can step over the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't care how you get over the bar. Just get over the bar. Jump,
Yeah.
step, whatever it may be. If you want to go faster, you're going to want to jump. But
Right.
like we stopped doing 2-foot takeoff years ago because
It's impossible to judge, and it was also impossible to do with any type of intensity.
right.
It's also
Exactly.
just like not super functional too, like
Right.
forcing a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, get over the bar however you want. I remember we did that qualifier workout
Yeah.
where it was lateral burpees over a rower, and I literally typed out, "We don't care how you get over the rower.
I remember.
Right.
Just don't go around it. Just
Right.
go over it."
Yeah.
And it blew people's minds. They were like, "Can I step over?" I'm like, "That counts. Yes."
Yeah.
Can I dive over? Yes. Don't care. So
Sure. It's a terrible idea.
that standard would make for more consistent judging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity for us to work with CrossFit
Mhm.
to get more appropriate standards for the masters community.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really change the physical output that we're seeing,
Mhm.
but leads to more consistent judging, better overall movement quality. So if you guys have ideas on that, let us know, right?
I think the heel concept is interesting, right? Because
It would almost be like inefficient
it
if
would
your heel is what's crossing
yeah. So
above
like
the bar.
you're looking at, is it close or is it egregious? Is
Right.
basically like what you're trying to define it. Heel is egregious, right?
Yeah.
Toes are close, and there's a lot of people that are really close, but it's really evident when the heel gets over, right? Like that person is basically upside down
Yeah,
at that point.
They're doing
right?
a pullover.
And so that's interesting. Did you guys have any other movements in mind? I assume probably an overhead lockout, but I just feel like we really struggle with like what that should look like, and everyone has like a thing, and osteophytes and elbow range of motion, or they say they do and they really don't. It's like, oh look, you should just make so before anyone claims, by the way, this is my thought. Before anyone claims they have an elbow limitation, you should make them hang from a bar in front of their judge.
Totally.
And then that would be, it's like, hey, this is what I can do. And if they try and fake it, make them one arm hang. And if that elbow locks out, they're a fibber.
Yeah, we had an
They're
athlete,
a fibber.
we had an athlete in a younger division, and I'm not going to say which division or who the athlete was, who got a bunch of no reps on his chest to bars in the bike workout because he was not coming to, he wasn't getting elbow extension at the bottom.
Sure.
And we watched him in other events, bar muscle ups, for example, where he had no problem getting
Yeah.
full extension at the bottom. And
Right.
it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, hey guys, I got to go. I'm actually getting a call from CrossFit. I'll let Joe.
Yeah, you are
Okay.
good.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
You guys want to meet us over at Uptown later? Happy to buy you a beer.
Yeah, we'll be there.
There you
100%.
go.
We'll let it wrap. I mean, this has been long. So what's your next steps moving forward? Like what is this week? I assume this week is like sleep.
Yeah.
But like what does it look like? You're moving full time and not digging into too much of that, but I assume this is like finding the venue starts, yesterday, and figuring out those contracts and deciding if it's financially beneficial. And I have so many more finance questions, but I won't ask them. I know that's probably not appropriate, but maybe over some drinks off the air, we can ask that. But I hope it is something that can be financially viable in the future. And so what does it look like moving forward this year, like in the next month for you and Bob?
Yeah, so we got to wrap up here at the BJCC. Our final walkthrough will be tomorrow. As far as looking at next year, I've already been traveling for 3 months plus, looking at other cities and venues. Been to New York, been to Florida, went to Michigan, going to Northern California, and it's also looking at those venues, but it's also letting Birmingham know that we are actively looking for the most support and the best deal we can get to maximize the competition for the athletes, the spectators,
Right.
because we know the worth that all you guys create. We can, like I was telling Jason Grubb after the comp, like we can set up the best competition with the best programming. Rogue can ship in the stuff. It can be beautiful. But if people don't show up, and if
100%.
the city isn't involved to help us, then no one's going to show up, and it's a shit show. Like
Yep.
you
Yeah.
see stands, it's like, oh, what, something's wrong. So making sure that this is a financially profitable competition, so that we can fund that in my role and Bob's role, so that we continue to do the best possible thing
Sure.
for the athletes, spectators, and everyone else I listed. So this week we got to check out the final bill from the convention center, which is going to be fun, like you said.
Yeah.
I got to catch up on some home projects. Got to build a pergola, covered pergola, a deck, and a fence.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like I don't know, like a deck
Like
with
a
a cover.
gazebo?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like a
That's
patio
cool.
cover, whatever. But
Nice.
I got some home projects to catch up on the honeydew
Cool.
list, all while working and going into next year. So definitely working hard to make sure that we are in the right place, and that's not just a huge convention center. It's that it's a city that wants us there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the smaller town vibe is definitely the play, right? I assume you've been in CrossFit long enough to know that Carson, while the tennis stadium was awesome, Carson was terrible. Nothing was near. The gas station across the street didn't know what the CrossFit games were.
Right.
And I mean, there was still 25,000 people there, which isn't a lot, right? Yes, it was easy to travel to, but that was about it. But then it was like, an hour and a half away from the airport. Like, Carson, it's just LA was not it. And so I loved Madison. I'm very sad that we left. I hope Fort Worth does well in its coming years. There was obviously a lot of tragedy and turmoil and like tumultuous times at the games. Do you feel the separation at this point? Because it was obviously really hard, and I was fucking pissed when it split. I'm just going to be honest, and I think a lot of people were in general. Do you feel that the split is going to now be the most beneficial way moving forward, right? Like you were kind of separated from the drama and the challenges that CrossFit as a HQ are going through.
Yeah.
Do you, so is there kind of like maybe like a little diamond in the rough feel there? It's like, oh man, we're not like right in it. We have like our own thing and our own entity and our own body. Do you feel anything of that? I mean, I don't want to try and like put words in your mouth.
No, I mean, you definitely, yeah. I mean, I was there, and
Yeah.
that was rough. I was waking up each middle of the night in the morning, and it was like, yeah, that had to have been a dream. Like, there's no way. And it was just every morning of like 5 minutes of like depression almost, Then going through that and getting all the emails and questions like, oh, what have you done? As an event director? I'm like, look, I know the same information you guys know.
Right.
It's not even fair to even comment on that. But the separation, like, obviously there's, you can look at it. Yeah, it was a benefit because we're not directly tied, but we are close to HQ. We,
Sure.
Feel for what they're even going through. A lot of their team members had zero involvement in what was decision that was made and whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But as far as our competition, it was really cool to see the community come out and, make this competition like the dream of what Bob and I thought it could be.
Yeah.
And that is amazing to see, because it pretty much hit like 100% plus of what we thought the spectators would be. We thought the vibe
Yeah.
would be
On our end too. Definitely saw that.
amazing. So this success and the future, the spectators coming out, to be honest, is going to allow us to make advancements in, some staff roles, part-time roles.
Sure.
So it's not 100% me. I'm not perfect. I miss things. I miss an email, but there's like dedicated staff spots that could be opening up now that is only going to benefit the competition. More social media presence, better communication, different ideas on, staff information packets, athlete information packets. We should have this type of schedule. And it's just going to enhance the overall experience that we can provide next year for the Masters Games.
Yeah, and we won't take up too much of your time. One question that we actually got in the chat that I think kind of helps wrap it a little bit too is we have people who are wondering how they can get involved from a volunteer standpoint. Obviously just wrapped, but what does that kind of look like for you guys on your end? Like, when does that kind of open up, and what's that process look like?
Yeah, so we're currently, I mean, to be honest, how the current process we do is a Google Doc I set up.
Oh,
okay.
And,
well, that'll improve.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was improvement from just accepting emails.
Sure, yeah.
But so we're going to use this software. I forget what it's called. I think Volunteer Local.
Okay.
Actually, so I went to an event symposium. So basically, I went to this thing where it's like speed dating for sports events and
Oh, wow. Okay.
So like you got 10 minutes with these cities that can match up. And there's also like different companies that provide software, hotel services, whatever. And so one was called Volunteer Local, and they're like, hey, we have a software business that runs your entire volunteer database. And it was amazing. So we're currently setting that up for next year.
Nice.
And that'll take like another month or so to get live. And we're not sure when we're going to open up registration, but currently, honestly, if you just email me, joe@legendscomp.com, if people are already asking, then those are the type of people that we want to be around.
We'll drop your phone number below too, so they can just reach out to you.
What's your number?
All right. Yeah. We'll put it on the scroll. All right, Bob, tell us the super secret CrossFit conversation.
It was just, we're done. You guys totally ruined CrossFit's name for us.
It's over. Trash.
Over.
Fucked it.
Hear from our lawyers. And it was, you guys fucking crushed it. This is
cool.
awesome.
Awesome.
It was really like, how do you feel? And it was like, I feel fucking great. So
That's awesome. I assume you guys saw Dave and Don
yeah.
while they were here. Cool.
Yeah.
That was really amazing seeing them, by the way, like however you feel about whatever's happening and all the things. It was great to see Dave. Yeah.
They're good people regardless of the circumstances. And if people can't separate, the tragic events and tragic death of Lazar and Dave and Don as people, they're kind of missing the boat, man. So plus I found out that Don and I grew up in the same town.
Oh, nice.
Great.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like
Small
we're
world.
3 years apart, and would have gone to the same high school, but I moved overseas. So
Got it.
Cool.
crazy. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks. I can't even begin to explain how thankful I am for you guys to hop on. I know we've been trying since Thursday. So, I'd love to, keep an open line of communication over time. And WODprep has been a part of the Masters community, and it's like it's who, it's who we sell to, and it's who we're a part of, and it's who we coach, and it's like what we do. Right. And so, we're really happy with, everything that we saw here, and we're really excited for the future of it.
Yeah.
And so thank you guys for putting this on and coming on the show for sure, and answering some questions. And this isn't goodbye. I'll see you guys up, as soon as you guys text me you're going to Uptown, I'll walk on down. I'll be over there. It's been a long weekend.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Appreciate
man.
you having you guys on.
All right.
Yeah.
Adios.
See ya.
See you guys soon. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. That was really good for them to come on. If you're watching on replay, we hope you enjoyed it. Ask any other questions below. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we got one I didn't see until after they hopped off. So will they coordinate events differently to prevent overlapping?
I
That's
saw
tough.
it. I saw it. I just didn't. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
You would need like 6 days.
Yeah, I think that as long
competition.
as it's same within the field that you're competing in. I mean, we did talk about the fact that like division to division, it's something that's tough to do. But you know, as long as the entire field's competing in the same events, obviously that's the best way to go about it.
That's all right. We'll figure- Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Hit the end stream. We'll see you guys on the flip side.